Please join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On honor of the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please join me as I pray. Again, Father, we're thankful for the blessings of this day and the beautiful weather that you've given us the last few days, and just the privilege of living in this great country and this great state and this great community. And Father, Saturday, as I looked across the bay at the blinding fog and the fishermen about to go out there, I thought to myself, they really need to rely on their compasses and their GPS to find the way. They have to trust in those instruments to find their way. And sometimes the future of our county appears to be foggy and not real clear to the senses that we rely on daily. And we have to rely on something beyond our own senses to find our way and to get there safely. So Father, I pray for these commissioners today that they will rely on you and your Spirit to guide them as they make decisions that affect us all. And we just pray for a bright future for this county, and we place our trust in you, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to call roll. Commissioner Jack Cheney for precinct 1 and 1A.
Here.
Commissioner Leslie Castleline for precinct 2.
Here.
Commissioner Pat Russo, precinct 3.
Here.
Commissioner Wendy Laubach, precinct 4.
Here.
County Judge Bart Mills.
Here,
Very good.
we do have a quorum. And we have citizens to be heard, I know, because I have quite a stack here. So how many of you are here today to speak on citizens to be heard on item number 10? All right.
That's where the action is.
Who wants to go first? You can wait to all of you want to wait to number 10? Or do you want to speak now so you can go on with your business? Anybody? How about on Zoom? Anybody want to speak now?
Are you saying yes, they want to speak, or yes, they want to wait?
We'll wait.
Okay.
Okay. All right. It's going to be a busy item 10 then. And I have quite a few emails, and some of them are quite lengthy. So I'm not going to read them all, but I'll tell you I have about 10 emails in favor of item number 10. We do have a presentation by the Aransas County Task Force, COVID-19 Task Force, Rick McClester and Patricia Arnold. Rick.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Pondering what I was going to say, how do you turn a year's worth of COVID-19 into a 7-minute presentation? But I'll start off coining a phrase, seeing our good friend John Jackson here. During Harvey, he coined the phrase that we're flying a great plane. The problem is we're building it while we're flying it. And I would have to say that since day one, as we're coming up on a year with COVID-19, that's exactly what we've been doing. Something that nobody's ever done. We're relying on the state of Texas, the federal government, and of course in Aransas County, without a hospital district or a health district, we're relying on Harlingen Region 11 to be our expertise, if you will. I'm just an old cop. I've got a lot of experience in disaster management, but nobody has any experience in pandemic. So we're struggling along here, but we're getting advice from the state of Texas. I would not want Dr. Propst's job with dispensing and answering all those questions across our region. But what I would quickly say to summarize what's happened in the last year is we're seeing a three-peat right now. I'll take you back to whenever the COVID-19 first hit. You could not find a personal protective piece of equipment. Beg, borrow, or steal. Lord knows we did. But now there's warehouses full. They're begging us to come get PPEs because the warehouses are bulging. Then we moved into testing. And I'll take you back to remember testing. As you recall, you had to show symptoms. You had to be systematic because there was not enough tests to test everybody who wanted to get tested with COVID-19. Now there are warehouses full of tests everywhere. We are available to a mobile unit anytime anytime one's available. We bring them to Aransas County for testing. The state of Texas Division of Emergency Management has set up 4 permanent testing sites across our region: Beeville, Corpus Christi, Jim Wells County, as well as Clayburgh County, with a mobile testing group that will go fill in the gaps with rural counties. Now there's testing everywhere. Now we're moving into vaccines, and we're going to let Patricia speak on that. But now we're into vaccines. We're seeing the same thing for the third time. There's not enough vaccines for everybody to get one. So rules and regulations have been put out. They first went out and said all first responders. Well, that turned out to be a broad statement because when it became time for testing, we learned that only Schedule 1A, 1B, that was our elderly population and our folks on the front line in the medical field, were getting those. That's been problematic across the state. I will tell you that as we speak here today, even though Aransas County has received some vaccines, there are still 5 counties within our region that have not received any. So there's a problem across the state. There's a problem here in our region, but through due diligence and a lot of phone calls, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. More vaccines are coming available, and I assure you there is a strong contingent in Aransas County pushing to get what Aransas County needs and what Aransas County deserves. However, we are not a population center. We are not a hospital district. And so we're fighting with other rural counties to get that small allotments of vaccines. But our biggest problem is we're fighting this battle with, I feel like, both hands tied behind our back. Every program that we've seen has been directed by the state of Texas and the Department of Health. I'm not going to throw them under the bus because they're doing a bang-up job with what they've got. Commissioners, we're coming up on a year, and I will tell you that at least 2 to 3 phone calls, 2 to 3 conference calls a week has happened. I personally have been on those. The judge, mayors have personally been on those, receiving the latest information, the best practice available to try to handle and get a handle on COVID-19. I will say, I'm about to hand this off to Patricia Arnold, and I want to say that the best thing that we've done is when we moved into the vaccine part of this, it obviously became a lot more involved. And with the judge's endorsement, we contacted Patricia Arnold, and she's been a godsend. I want to publicly turn to Patricia and say, Patricia, thank you. I don't know where we would be today without you. And as far as I'm concerned, the program that our first volley of our first 300 that came to the county, not HEB, not Walgreens, not the family planning clinic, but the first 300 vaccines that was allotted to somewhat our control, if you will, under the direction of Department of Health, because Dr. Probst herself was presently here in Aransas County at Fulton, Texas, at the Paws and Taws for that first volley. Patricia got 24 hours notice to hustle 2 tents, hustle about 50 to 60 volunteers to be prepared to work those lines, to collect that data. The state of Texas showed up with people to vaccinate, and they showed up with data entry people. That's it. Everything else, Patricia hustled in 24 hours. Patricia, you're doing a bang-up job. Bless you for taking on this. And the biggest thing is she's doing it for free, folks. My pleasure. Patricia Arnold handling our vaccine program as it stands today.
You might want your mask back. Get your mask. Good morning, and thank you for that, Rick. Good morning, and thank you, Commissioners and Judge Mills, for allowing me to present today. We've been really busy, as he said. My name is Patricia Arnold. I'm the Executive Director for ACMSI, more formally known as Aransas County Medical Services Incorporated, which is a nonprofit corporation. Our purpose is to assist our community in gaining access to needed services and advocate for and community resources. And I'm honored that Judge Mills and Rick McClester called on us to assist with this pandemic. As you are aware, the state of Texas closed and consolidated their health departments many years ago. Aransas County did have a health department here. Aransas County is the most northern county in Region 11, meaning our health department's main office is in Harlingen, Texas. And that's under the direction of Dr. Emily Prote as the medical director. Several nurses and staff for Department of State Health Services Region 11 work remotely. They are in Aransas County 1 to 2 times a month, located at the ACMSI Enterprise Medical Complex. However, they have been closed because they've required all of those personnel to be on a COVID team. So those nursing staff under Region 11 have been closed these remote to become part of their team. So during the pandemic, ACMSI has joined task forces to assist with education and awareness and to include meetings with the community leaders, medical community, and best practices during this pandemic. So we have been a weekly presenter for the Facebook COVID-19 information page through the Rockport Fulton Chamber of Commerce at that time to help with navigate the DSHS website for the state of Texas. And then we're working with the EOC, Rick McClester, and setting up testing for Aransas County. People were looking for testing all over. At that time, it was limited. However, that included us getting the COVID-19 PCR testing here prior to Thanksgiving and Christmas so our community members can get the required PCR test to go into the nursing homes to see their loved ones and to help make those decisions prior to traveling for the holidays. So they were able to go in and see their loved ones. I work with Texas Department of State Health Services Region 11 to set up the flu clinics along with the Rockport Police Department and our volunteer fire departments so that we could practice flu vaccines prior to COVID-19 coming in, prior to bringing the vaccines here to our community so that we can work with that. In mid-December, we began receiving lots of concerns from the medical community, our nonprofits, our veterans, the city, town of Fulton, Lamar, Holiday Beach, several concerned residents regarding vaccines. How do I get them? Where do I go? At that time, I requested for the secretaries and the Meals on Wheels and different ones that were asking to please write their name and phone number down, and I would contact these citizens that are concerned about where to go. From there, I was able to refer them to vaccine hubs. I was able to receive to discuss with the VA clinic in Corpus Christi who is receiving their vaccines, and they're coming out to see our homebound veterans to be able to vaccinate the homebound veterans at this time, and or refer them to specific pharmacies. At the request of Dr. Cuevas, she requested that we sign up more providers in Aransas County. So that's been a goal of ours over the last couple of weeks, is to present to several different physicians and several community members, maybe school districts or law enforcement, to become providers, and even the EMS to become a provider for vaccines if they choose to. They would be able to help more with their own employees and to help with some of our homebounds, like you're seeing with Corpus Christi Fire Department helping with the Meals on Wheels. So we continue to advocate daily for vaccines. We hopefully assist with concerned citizens when and where to receive the vaccines. And we receive 1 to 5 doses from neighboring counties with the assistance of Judge Mills and putting me in contact with specific people in Judge Canales' office. Region 11 continues to request vaccines for our community as we are now considered a high priority county. We were notified within 24 hours that Region 11 would be needing assistance to setting up the drive-through clinic with specific guidelines and requirements that they needed. So as always, our community leaders, our employees, and our volunteer organizations were able to meet the requirements and deadlines requested by Region 11. So it wasn't just me, it was a lot of people who put these things in place, and they do it with just a phone call, and they jump and take care of those things for our community. At the vaccine site, the Texas Department of Emergency Management, Gary Barney, was on location. The Texas Department of State Health Services Medical Director, Dr. Emily Prote, was on location here in Fulton, Texas. I was the designated task force leader for this vaccine clinic. I provided the call list and coordinated the events on scene. In the review process, we addressed lessons learned and best practices to better prepare for the second dose allocation, which will be coming soon. So those second doses will be coming to Aransas County. So it was brought to my attention by Dr. Prote that she received several emails of concerned citizens and an elected official, that these emails address concerns regarding notification to the public and concerns following the Texas Schedule 1A and 1B. At no point did these emails thank Dr. Prote and her staff for bringing vaccine clinics to Aransas County. These emails were sent with such haste that they made accusations that things were handled inappropriately and could have jeopardized our opportunity for future vaccines. I assure you this list met all state requirements and was used fairly. As a reminder, please remember you are leaders in our community and our citizens are scared and concerned while looking to us to help reassure them. Listen to them and lead them with the most accurate information in a respectful manner. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The second is to say thank you. And in between, as a servant, automatically respond to any problem by listening first. I accept your feedback and recommendations for future Aransas County vaccine sites, as we are still welcome, as you are welcome to volunteer to help make these events more successful. The more vaccines we bring into Aransas County, the more volunteers we will need to help direct traffic and things like that. Today, we have 9,560 people on the registration link. We are advocating daily for more vaccines. We are encouraging all citizens to continue to search for vaccines and get in line wherever you're able to. Rockport HEB Pharmacy, Walgreens Pharmacy, South Texas Family Planning, our nursing homes have all done an amazing job. So if you have an opportunity to please say thank you to them, as they've done a great job. The supply and demand will one day catch up, just like the toilet paper finally did. So Dr. Prote and her staff will be bringing second doses in the next few weeks. It's my goal to show them our community can handle the task of being a mini vaccine hub. Our volunteers stand ready to help our community. Please remember to thank the boots on the ground, and most importantly, please be patient. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have to agree with Rick. Patricia has been a godsend to the county.
She
Thank you,
always
Patricia.
is.
And you just heard hasn't been sitting on her, you know what, doing nothing. All right. That being said, we have a consent agenda. Yes, certainly. You do have more important things to do than sit here.
Thank you.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made,
I second.
second, Commissioner Russo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove fourth quarter 2020 report from Rockport Cultural Arts District.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Day. I'm the Executive Director of the Rockport Cultural Arts District. Colin, do we have the presentation? Thank you. Okay, so this is the fourth quarter, October to December HOT report. Is this going to work? Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay, the mission and objective statement, I won't read through this. It's basically to showcase and celebrate the unique character of this area today and work for the economic progress for tomorrow in a nutshell. ARC-Ed initiatives. I stood before you last Monday and talked about the sales tax exemption initiative on original one-of-a-kind works of art sold in the district and explained the benefit of that initiative with examples from the state of Louisiana and their cultural arts districts. We've had a very strong social media campaign. We focus on district businesses and showcasing them in this environment. They certainly need that. They've needed that for the past year. We've focused on culinary arts as well as local culture. We've also worked on identifying a baseline. Basically, this is identifying the revenue dollars that are within the cultural arts district so we can measure our success in our initiatives, how they are benefiting the area. We work with Pathways on getting an ARC-Ed logo stamp, this is it right here that you'll see in the new district sidewalk that will be going in on Live Oak. We supported nonprofits within the cultural arts district for funding opportunities that are only available to them because they reside within the cultural arts district footprint. We've been working on a design and district program to provide consistency in design and pedestrian and safety enhancements within the district. We've done a lot with marketing and promotion. We've had district events. We have monthly farmers markets, makers markets, different promotions, culinary features, and we are currently working on a history of the Rockport Art Colony mural, which legendary local artist Steve Russell is championing. We've also spotlighted some businesses. We had the opportunity to work with the chamber and spotlighting some businesses. And again, these businesses need to be spotlighted. They need the help, especially right now in this environment. Our social media campaign has continued to grow. You'll see the number of likes we have there, number of followers. We've had the opportunity also to spotlight in the state of Texas Heritage Magazine. One of our advisory board members, Kay Betts, did an article in the Rockport Fulton Art Colony, which was featured in this magazine, as well as Steve Russell did the art on the cover. We were able to showcase that. Halloween in the district, Justin Parkoff gave you his report last week and showed a lot of growth in October. Basically what this is a collaboration of the different groups here, the merchant shops, the Texas Maritime Museum, First Learning Tree, Church Unlimited, and Rockport Little Theater. We had a collaboration which the Cultural Arts District sponsored, and it brought in quite a few people. We provided maps with different staging areas. We had photo pods. We had food. We had bathrooms noted, which is a big deal downtown if you don't know that already. And we had event spaces where things were going on. These are our little Halloween, our little witch and children that had a great time getting back to some normalcy that was provided in the downtown area. Zip code collections are there. We had 29% outside of 75 miles. Rockport Little Theater had 410 visitors on Halloween Day. And this allowed project graduation to raise $2,500. The Little Bay Sea Queens are ambassadors for Rockport Fulton, collected zip codes and distributed candy. Christmas on the Beach, collaboration between the Chamber and the Navigation District. We did participate in that, the first ever. It's a lot of fun. Over 10,000 people visited the outdoor display and 3,000 vehicles over 36 days. We also champion lighting in the downtown area from October 20th to January 1st. This is obviously not a picture of our downtown, but it was a great thing to have additional lighting downtown during that time. It was very festive. Annual Christmas in the District, positive economic impact. So we looked at a specific restaurant and a specific retail and looked at their growth from the first weekend to the second weekend in December. Obviously, with Christmas in the district, they had a tremendous amount of growth. And we have Santa and Mrs. Claus, which was another opportunity for families to feel a little bit more normal during this environment that we're in. Heritage tourism, and this comes from the Texas Historic Commission about heritage tourism becoming one of the fastest growing areas, major tourism area, and a contributor to the economy. The reason I bring this up is the historic railroad depot. We're getting closer and closer to acquiring that depot. We've got funding in place for the exterior restoration. We're still working funding. We have future exhibit and educational programs we've been working on. One of them is we've got a dozen 1925 Model Ts coming to Rockport as a fundraiser, March the 27th. We've been working on that. There's one of the ones that will be here. It'll be a blast. We've done a lot of branding and marketing. We've worked on our website. We launched the merchandising the weekend of Thanksgiving. Great logo. We also will feature the depot in the sesquicentennial in June of this year. Public art. We are continuing to work with Steve Russell on the cultural interface, which depicts the interaction, the very first look between the European colonists and the Native American Karankawa Indians. And we are doing this in partnership with AC&D. It's a picture of the European colonists, the monk, the conquistador, and the pirate with our great artist, Steve. So we have, over this time, sent out over 200 donation requests. We held an online art auction, and we've also secured a lot of in-kind support from engineering firms and individual engineers. We've raised over $40,000 in cash donations, over $45,000 in donated art, and over $45,000 of in-kind services for this project. Public art, the Rockport Art Colony. This is the mural that Steve Russell is working on. It's on the wall next to the winery downtown on North Street. It will be completed by the end of this quarter. And that is my report. Can I answer any questions for you?
Any questions for Ms. Day?
I have just a couple. First,
Okay.
thank you for putting in visitor date. I was glad to see that.
Mhm.
Will we be able to get a copy of that report?
It should be in your package.
I don't think I got one. I'll check with Tracy.
Okay.
And then when you mentioned the amounts you've already received for the sculptures that will be in the bay and on the land,
Mhm.
what is that total that you need for the project?
The total project is $450,000. That is for 2 series, 3 sculptures on each series.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Thank you, Ms. Day, and thank you
Yes,
for all
sir.
that you do for the county.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I move to approve the fourth quarter 2020 report for the Rockport Cultural Arts District as given.
Second.
Made,
Second.
second, Commissioner Castelline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 7, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the conceptual plan proposed by Holigan Communities Incorporated for the new manufactured home communities Costa Palms Resort and Pura Vida Palms at 501 Rattlesnake Point Road.
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Castelline. Any discussion?
Can we just get a real brief description of what this is about?
Kat, are you online?
I think Brandy's going to
Yes,
talk to us.
sir.
Brandy right here. Yeah, and Brandy. Okay.
I
All
guess
right, Brandy.
I'll summarize real quick and then Kat can chime in as well. This is a manufactured housing development. There's going to be two separate parks. One of them will be age restricted to 55 and over. The other one will be no age restriction, so we're calling it a family park. So it's actually going to be, the whole property will be subdivided into just two lots. And all of the sites that the manufactured homes would be on are just rental sites. The owners of the property and the owners of the development own the entire thing. They take care of all the maintenance, the landscaping. The utilities will be public, City of Rockport. So they take care of everything. The people only own their actual home. So they don't own the space underneath.
Randy, can you elaborate on the total acreage of it and maybe give us something on the sewer that's going to be put in?
Okay, the total usable acreage, I think, is about 180 acres, give or take. There's about 1,100 sites that will be on the property. The developers are installing, it's going to actually take 2 lift stations to serve that whole property. And those will be owned and maintained by the City of Rockport. And so they'll have one lift station will be located on Rattlesnake Point Road at the edge of the property so that gravity sewer can be extended throughout, as development or people want to tie on, they can extend that gravity to serve existing sites out there. And then there's going to be a force main from that lift station that runs all the way down Rattlesnake Point Road to the lift station at Wandering Oaks. So 2.5 miles or so of a force main. City water's already there, so we're tying onto that, and we're just going to improve that whole water distribution system out there on our site.
Randy, this is all owned, the fee simple by a Unity, a company or a corporation or something.
Yes.
How are we protected if that company fails for whatever reason? That property becomes, I don't anticipate that ever happening, but it's a concern to me that the county or the city might get stuck with having to take care of that property after a company fails or something.
Let me see if the developer's on. Kat, do you have something on that? Or
I was just going to mention that before we do the final plat, we will bring the development agreement to the Commissioners Court. The entryway on Rattlesnake Point Road that right now is kind of known as the Dead Man's Curve. We're trying to figure out a way to do that with a consideration to the work being done on Rattlesnake Point Road through the CDBG-DR. And so we're working on that. And so the development will come back to the commissioners with a development agreement. But the developers probably speak much better to it.
Kat, how are we going to handle the roads? Are the roads going to be public roads? Or are they going to be owned by the developer? And at what point?
These will be private roads.
Okay. How are we protected if, again, as I say, the developer fails or has a catastrophic accident or something like that? You're going to have a whole lot of people out there that's going to want the county or the city to step in and help them. Are we requiring that they put their roads in according to county standards in case there is a situation that would occur?
Yes, the roads are reviewed for minimum standard requirements. They're not the same as the county roads, so they're not the same construction as the county roads, but they are reviewed for structural integrity, and so they have been submitted to the county for review on that and have been approved.
My concern is what we've seen in some of the areas in my precinct where they've come in and had a development of 1 to 4 or 40 or 400 or whatever it happens to be. And then that goes well for 20 years. And you get people who have been in the county as citizens for that length of time or even shorter length of time. And all of a sudden that operation goes away. And then we have 1,100 people out there screaming at their county commissioner to pave their roads or control their roads or take care of the sewer or whatever. What kind of bonds or what kind of guarantees are we going to have that's going to protect the county from some sort of future involvement there?
Well, the people that live there, they're not going to own the property under.
I understand that. That's the problem that I have. Yeah.
Why, what would be the difference with somebody with just a small business? I personally wouldn't want somebody coming in and the county controlling my business. I mean, it's a private business.
That's a good question, Commissioner Cashline. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you come in and they don't keep the roads up, if they being the owner of the property doesn't keep the roads up and whatever, and it goes on like it's done down on Nail down at the end, and then they start screaming about getting county road to and from the area and whatever, we don't want to, I'm not against this. I'm very much in favor of it. I just want some guarantees that will protect the county from future issues such as that.
I will just address the roads briefly. They're going to be concrete roads well in excess of the county road standard. County road standard is, hot chip seal.
Mhm.
So we're providing a concrete road, so it's much better, zero maintenance. I mean, it's
Okay.
So these aren't going to be substandard roads by any means.
All right. Any other questions? If not, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 8, do I have a motion?
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign as a witness a contract for election services between the Aransas County Elections Administrator and the City of Rockport for the joint election to be held on May 1st, 2021.
Have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Cheney. Discussion. Kevin, talk to us.
It's basically the same contract that was approved last court for the town of Fulton. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
A motion and a second. No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 9. Have a motion.
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign as a witness a contract for election services between the Aransas County Elections Administrator and the Aransas County Independent School District for the joint election to be held on May 1st, 2021.
Have a second.
I second it.
Second, Commissioner Russo. Any discussion?
Can you elaborate on why we would need to approve you to sign something just as a witness?
I honestly am not entirely sure. I just know that's how business was
I can understand
conducted.
approving a signature. but-
Back when Michelle was here, state law honestly does not require a contract to come to Commissioner's Court because that is an agreement between the election administrator and the entity.
Well, I can see if the judge will sign it, but it seems odd that we'd have to get permission to witness somebody else's signature.
Okay. I agree. But anyway, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the acceptance of a $1,700,000 Economic Development Administration grant with a total project cost of $2,138,731 for a workforce development and entrepreneurship center. Matching funds provided by public and private sector cash in kind and workforce account donations in the amount of $438,731, and authorize the county judge to sign the financial assistance award form and any other related documents.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Castleline. And I know we have some discussion, so ladies first.
Judge, I'll tee this off if I may.
Just a minute. I've got somebody at the podium.
Christy's already up at the podium, Kim.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Bolting, and
Sorry.
today I am here as just a citizen, not a business owner. I was a previous teacher, and I just want to make something, I'm going to be as brief as possible. Back after the hurricane, we did numerous public input sessions I'm going to kind of just briefly go over a small timeline. The long-term recovery team moved into a long-term recovery actual group in October of 2017. December 2017, we asked for public input was sought about where we want this county to go and what we want after the hurricane. December 21st, a 6 to 8 o'clock town hall meeting. January the 1st, another long-term public input meeting. February the 1st, this is all in 2018. April the 5th, 2018, town hall, 6 to 8 p.m., public input meeting. April the 18th, 2018, open house, temporary in the courthouse over here. June 19, 2018, public input from the Coastal Bend Council of Government method on distributing community block grant money. July 25th, 2018, another public input, long-term recovery. They provided their phone numbers, they provided their email addresses. They're asking people to give them input on the long-term recovery plans that have been laid out from all of these inputs. July 25th, August 2018, long-term recovery plan, mission statement, and key elements were presented to the public for public input again. August 2018, announcement concerning downtown anchor project, City Hall and the courthouse. August 30th, another long-term recovery plan, action plan report ready for public comment. This is also along with the Texas Sea Grant. They gave us supporting documentation for a workforce training center. This was posted online, on a website, the chamber site, and it was in the pilot. Again, for public comment. November the 14th, 2018, again, the long-term action recovery plan asked for more public comment. They're following what the public has asked them to do. And one of the things they asked for was workforce training, workforce housing. They wanted extended education. November the 16th, 2018, a local TV station came over here. Action 10 News, talking about our public input, about our team center, more public comments. December the 10th, 2018, long-term recovery final draft was put out for public comment, including the long-term workforce training center. December the 28th, oh, and let me take it back. KIII TV also had this on the news. It was in the newspaper, it was on the website. December the 28th, long-term recovery team recognized that the residents needed and partnered with nonprofits to build hurricane relief hub for us here. This team has done so much for our community. So the key points from the long-term recovery, their mission statement, capture funding opportunities that support their plan, which included workforce training. Work to improve the economic conditions of those impacted, because we knew we were nothing but a tourist location. And we had people that were working here in our tourist industry, wait staff, dishwashers, people that were not educated enough that could stay here in an environment. They moved away because they had to support their families. Commissioners Court was presented on June the 22nd, 2020. The presentation was presented to y'all. August 2020 approved the grant application. I'm sure that you read this grant application before it was approved. This was back in August of 2020. July 2020, Lenora Keys, at that time was VP of Workforce Development and Strategic Planning, came and did a presentation. And here we are today, 2021, still trying to decide whether we're going to do a workforce training center. Our kids and our public and our community needs it. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Sorry, it takes me a minute. Okay. Oh, call. Hi, I'm Suzanne Ronslaben, and I'm the Executive Director for the Education Foundation. And I work directly with Aransas County ISD on grants and keep my pulse on what the needs are. I also run the ACE After School program at the high school, so I have a particular knowledge of the needs of our students there. Back in 2010, when all of this industry started here, I was part of a workforce task development committee back with our former mayor. And At that time, the overarching goal for the school district and especially our high school was to provide courses that would enable our kids to earn certifications that would qualify them for all these lucrative positions. In case most of you aren't aware of this, about 70% of our kids come from economically disadvantaged households. They can't afford to go to Corpus, to go to any kind of training, and most of the time they stay here and work at minimum wage. The high school, through the foundation, offers a stellar welding program, Welding 1 and Welding 2, where our students do earn their basic NCCER certifications. We put over $1 million into that program so that it would be available at the high school. We also have a state-of-the-art culinary arts department. Another $650,000 went into that. So you can understand the cost of the school district to provide programs like that. We also put in another $65,000 this last year so that they could offer a phlebotomy course, an electrocardiograph tech course through Del Mar College. I will also tell you that last year, prior to COVID, our construction site at the high school, which we had put about $300,000 into, did offer through Del Mar a course for all citizens. There were probably 35 adults in that class learning the construction trade, and I witnessed that every day. There's simply not enough words to tell you how much this is needed in our area. Our kids can't afford to go, and it's truly an investment in the future of our children. And I can't think of any better return for your investment than that.
Thank you, ma'am. And we have.
Any questions? I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so. We have Lenora Keys on Zoom, and she's in between meetings. So Lenora, would you like to speak now?
Yes, thank you very much, Judge. Can everyone hear me okay? We've been working with the sound system in this room to make sure.
Yes. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I am Lenora Keys. I'm Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Del Mar College and a Rockport Fulton High School graduate, which I'm very proud of, with a long history there in Rockport. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. I'm going to take time to try to address some of the questions and issues that have come before the court or come before the community really in the last few weeks and summarize some information. So I do appreciate your patience, and I do appreciate being able to be brought forward this morning. I would be there in person if I wasn't tied up in this board meeting here in Corpus Christi. Del Mar College, last summer we were invited by the Aransas County Partnership Economic Development Corporation to participate with the county and Texas A&M University in preparing the grant application to the EDA. In support of this grant application for the center, we entered into an MOU with the county to operate and pay all operating expenses, instructional expenses, anything like that related to the delivery of instruction at the facility. We anticipate offering a variety of programs and courses locally that provide college credit and continuing education credit to meet the needs of the community. The purpose is to work with the community and to continue to grow a highly skilled workforce, building off the TEAMS concept that y'all worked on for about a year, as I understand it. And this will focus on technology, entrepreneurship, art, and makerspace. This includes examples such as all the areas of health sciences, light industrial, highly skilled trades, public safety, entrepreneurship, and the arts. Those types of things can all be offered in a combination of 4 college credit, continuing education, or seminar type situations. Students who take college credit courses will be able to apply for financial aid. Our workforce programs are college credit. I think this is kind of a misnomer with sometimes with people that workforce programs are not college credit. They are. They are college credit and or continuing education, depending specifically on the type of course. And quite often we offer them simultaneously, and it depends upon the student's needs. So that financial aid is available. The dual credit program at the high school will continue as it is. We've been engaged with the Rockport Fulton High School for many years, and we intend to stay there and offer the courses at the high school. If we were to offer a dual credit class, which we want to offer that flexibility at this site, it would be because it offered special technology or there was not the room available at the high school. It would be an unusual situation, or if things were great and things grew. But primarily, dual credit will remain at the high school. Today, I hope to really answer some of the questions and concerns regarding the intentions of the college in the pro forma budget and the overall operating expenses. Questions regarding the possibility of annexation or taxation of the county have come forward. This workforce center does not include or will it cause taxation by the college in the future. Texas law under the Texas Education Code, Section 130.065, provides for annexation or taxation of an area only if the people in the area voted in. Therefore, operational expenses in the college is obligated to pay will be paid by revenues generated by the center or other resources from the state. I can also confirm that this center will not force the college into a college's taxing district. That the center will not force the college into the college's taxing district, force the county. The state of Texas legislature defined the service areas for all community colleges in the state through state statute. The service area for Delmore College is the county of Nueces, San Patricio, Aransas, Kennedy, and parts of Clayburgh. The taxing district is only the city limits of Corpus Christi and the school districts within the city. Another additional piece is that for us to go into a taxing area, it must also be contiguous. The college presently draws students from other surrounding counties, such as Refugio, Jim Wells, and Calhoun. This is due to our unique and exceptional programs and the convenience or needs of the students. The college is financially very strong, and our public documents are transparent and published in the comprehensive annual financial report and independent annual audit. I want to be clear. The budget, enrollment projections, and economic impact was prepared based on actual historical data, revenue and expenses, and projections from professionals. The budget was prepared to show sustainability, that the center is financially viable for the long term. The revenue and expenses are projected as an additional site that provides for instruction, within the space only being used primarily for instruction. This is also looking at adding one location. The college's total operating budget for 2018-19-20 was over $107.9 million and with over 4 revenue primary sources. This site will have primarily tuition and fees for the first few years, and then state reimbursements will become available. Therefore, the percentage of funding to equal 100% cannot be the same or compared to the college as a whole. Projections in the grant application for the economic diversification, population growth, and student enrollment come from experts such as Dr. Jim Lee, professor and economist at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and facilities programming and consulting firms. Facilities programming provides demographic and enrollment projections for Delmore College and many other colleges and universities across the state. The budget that is in the grant application makes assumptions based upon enrollment projections provided by facilities programming. Using the adult population between the ages of 18 to 64 within the proximity to the Little Bay Primary School, they projected enrollment. The amount of tuition and fees is an approximate average of out-of-district tuition and fees, assuming students attend part-time, take 8 credit hours of either credit or continuing education courses for 2 semesters. This is based upon actual historical statistical data on our student population. These projections are conservative and on an annual basis. Using this information, we prepared a balanced budget for revenue and expenses to pay operational expenses and salaries specific to this center. The question has come up regarding the amount of state reimbursement in the projections beginning year 3. This number was provided by the Comptroller of Accounting for the college and its conservative projections. The college receives funding from the state appropriations on a 2-year or biennium basis for the number of contact hours actually taught during even-numbered years. The reimbursement rate varies from approximately $2 to $6 per contact hour. This is for continuing education or college credit. The rate that was used in this calculation was $2.67 per contact hour. Most of the courses that will be taught over a year will earn more than that rate because they will be in the career and technical fields. One key point about the pro forma budget is that expenses tied to instruction and operations can be covered. It is important to point out that this proposed site is for a center and not a campus. This is significant because the overhead expenses tied to the college and a campus are significantly different than to a center. The college has 2 other centers, 2 campuses, and is presently building a 3rd campus on the south side of Corpus Christi in Nueces County. To summarize, the state funding as a percentage of total funds to the entire college does not proportionately relate to the center. The center will primarily incur direct expenses tied to instruction. The total college budget includes overhead costs of administration, infrastructure, libraries, technology, and many other categories. Therefore, the percentage of the whole college does not equate to the center. We operate with a centralized administration, plant infrastructure, registration processes, and instructional oversight. Those indirect costs are not allocated to the center. The purpose of this budget is for the center that adds only operational costs and instructional expenses. For example, the instructional deans for the proposed programs have already visited the site and honestly are very excited about opening up and providing additional instruction. They will oversee the programs as part of their existing jobs. Our administrators and program leaders oversee many different locations throughout the 4.5 counties and other centers, campuses, and usually up to 40 different high schools. This location will become part of their duties. We will assign a full-time director to this center as an administrator and instructors as needed, and those salaries are in the budget, as well as the maintenance and operating expenses, which are outlined. Del Mar College is committed to serving Aransas County and the community through expanded workforce and entrepreneur programs. This is a great opportunity for the families in Aransas County to be able to attend college and continuing education locally. We are committed to continue working with the school district to offer dual credit courses at the high school and expand the opportunities for graduates and adults to expand their educational opportunities. And at this time, I'm open to answer questions if that is acceptable, Judge Mills.
Thank you, Lenore, but due to the fact that we have so many people here to speak or on the line to speak, I'm also going to have to limit everyone from now on to 5 minutes. Thank you, Lenore. I know you have another meeting to go to. Appreciate you input.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to step out of sequence here just a little bit because Superintendent of School is here. Dr. Garcia, would you like to come up and speak? And probably needs to get back to work.
That I do need to do. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being a part of this community. I live in Rockport, the Pearl Point Apartments, and am excited seeing all the great things that are happening in our area. So I'm just here to just say just some factual and positive things about the partnership that's being developed right now through the EDC and the opportunities of the courses, the dual credit college courses, expansion opportunities for our students in the area. Why is this important? Dual credit allows for a smoother transition between high school and college, firsthand exposure to college level work while still in high school. The partnership also includes an expansion of opportunities in the career and technical fields that are needed to succeed in life. These technical skills and academic skills are employable skills that are needed and will apply to the needs of our employers in Aransas County, that will continue to help our county and our community be a great place to visit, stay, and work. Thank you for your time.
Wow, that was quick. You got the hint. I like that one. And Dr. Garcia, if you'd like to leave, go ahead. Emily Martinez with the Coastal Bend Council of Government. Are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Emily, 5 minutes or less.
Yes. Emily Martinez, I'm the Director of Development for the Coastal Bend Council of Government. 11 counties.
You're breaking up, Emily.
Can you hear me?
I'm sure to hear every other syllable.
Go ahead. What happened?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Emily Martinez, Coastal Bend Council of Governments. I just want to indicate our support, the COG support of this particular project, as it is in line with our workforce development goals within our comprehensive economic development strategy. Workforce development and diversifying workforce development in our region will be key to helping us continue to be successful. In 2019, we signed a memo of understanding between the COG and Texas A&M University Corpus Christi to create the Regional Resilience Partnership. And part of that is to allow us to become more diversified and to continue to protect our communities from not only natural disasters, but also economic disasters as well. So diversifying our employment options and ensuring that we have adequate labor for the future will allow this region to continue to grow and to be well protected against the economic impacts that could effectively impact us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Denson.
Hello. I'm here actually just to introduce myself. My name is Kawana Denson, and I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives. I work alongside Lenora Keys on her team. And so again, just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here and to present the opportunities that the college can offer the county of Aransas. I actually used to work in San Patricio County, and Aransas County was one of our areas in my prior career as a probation officer. So I kind of know the need for education and those develops the skills that need, the skills that individuals need in order to maintain jobs here locally, and also to, stay within their own residence. And that means the state of Texas. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Evans? In her paperwork here, she's in favor of it. So, Bradley Silcoat.
Good morning, Commissioners and Judge Mills. My name's Brad Chilcote. I recently moved here to Rockport in July, purchased property, and I wanted to share how impressed I have been with the efforts of this court and the community to keep the infrastructure going for the growth that we all expect. I moved here from Rockwall County, which has the distinction of being in the top 10 fastest growing counties per capita over the past 2 decades. And one of the observations that I bring with me is that I came from a county that's been trying to catch up and still is working on it with all sorts of infrastructure. They have a new courthouse, working on roads, working on sewage, working on all of the things that that this community is working toward. But the other thing they're working on is education. Rockwall County, similar to what I perceive from Aransas County has a problem with all their gifted youth getting ready to enter the workforce, and they move elsewhere. I'm a certified professional career coach, retiring from Texas A&M Commerce, and I'm also a SCORE certified mentor business coach for over the past 10 years. Currently trying to do my best to help for free in retirement young entrepreneurs as well as business owners deal with either starting or growing a business. And I feel that education and business growth is just as much an infrastructure issue as all of the other areas that we've been struggling with or discussing. You know, some of the people when I first moved to Rockwall over 20 years ago that were complaining then about growth in taxes, it's kind of funny because now they're complaining about lack of service, lack of ability to keep up with the growth in taxes. I've learned that growth really can't be controlled. Whether you build it or not, if you're in a desirable community, people will come, developers will develop, and the community will grow. So my question to the court is, first of all, isn't post-secondary education, workforce development, and business growth, entrepreneurship, as important to our infrastructure as these other infrastructure needs that we've been working on? And do we want to support the type of business growth in our county aligned with the types of businesses we want in our culture? Do we want to support that growth by providing business entrepreneurs educational and entrepreneurship opportunities, but also providing them a workforce that will stay, a quality workforce that will stay? Don't we want to keep our top youth here in the county for a promising career and the workforce, providing the workforce available? And I cannot think of a better alternative that I've seen, at least in this county, to this current proposal that would be more economical in supporting workforce development and entrepreneurship. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Jackson, 5 minutes. I told you that because you're kind of like Rick McLester.
I promise you it won't go that long. Judge and commissioners, is the mic on? I guess it is. As you know, I'm the chairman of the EDC Exploratory Committee, Workforce Development. Today is a critical vote for the future of Aransas County. A positive vote to once again approve the $1.7 million EDA grant for a workforce development center will set in motion what so many people now and in future generations will benefit from, and that is a chance to be trained and educated right here in Rockport. And will not only benefit high school students, but also so many others after high school who want to upgrade their skills, knowledge, or even if they're already in the workforce, to upgrade to a higher paying job. This will also help our local businesses who will have a better trained employees. And one of the best benefits, students who graduate from here will more likely be able to remain here. And it also helps all of us who are in economic development to further diversify our local economy. Even retired people will benefit, not just those starting a career. In addition, we are so fortunate to have the best community college in the state as a key partner who is willing and excited to help make this happen. Lenora Keys from Delmar, who you just heard, grew up in this county in this school system, and I consider her a stakeholder just like the rest of us who live here. Everyone who has supported us so far is really counting on you. I sure would like to see a unanimous vote today. Our community is strongly in favor of this opportunity. What kind of a signal would we be sending if we turned down $1.7 million grant that so many have supported? To backtrack some, the need for a workforce development center came out loud and clear post-Harvey public meetings. It was also recommended in our long-term recovery plan, the Coastal Bend Council of Government plan, the City Rockport Comprehensive Plan, the GLO plan, Coastal Bend Community Innovation Center, IC Squared UT Austin community sessions held a year ago, and also their startup plan this past year. What signal would we be sending to our students and their parents? How about the lost opportunity for our local citizens out there who would have been able to upgrade skills right here in town to get a job or maybe a better one? What about the signal to the 25 donors who stepped up and committed $438,000 of in-kind services in cash from individuals, businesses, and local foundations? We accomplished that in just 2 weeks last summer for 100% of the match required within the county not having to match any funds whatsoever. What about the good faith consistently shown by current owner of Little Bay Primary, who has extended this option several times to his own financial detriment because of the delays, and on top of that, additionally donated $11,500 to pay costs that the county would normally have had to pay for environmental work. All of this was done by him and his trustees in good faith. What signal would this send to all the strong endorsement letters from all other public entities here, the city, the Navigation District, Fulton, ACISD, and the favors we asked for and received from our State Representative Jeannie Morrison, State Senator Lois Kolkhorst, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, and U.S. Congressman Michael Cloud? What about the unanimous support of the local government corporation, which you're a part of? How about Texas A&M Corpus Christi and the Coastal Bend Innovation Center, which led the team concept for workforce development and the grant application to the EDA? How about the dozens of support letters we received from our regional and business partners? Ever since last June, this project has been on the agenda for some kind of a vote several times, and actually has already been approved once. And most every time unanimously by this court. It has been discussed numerous times. If we don't move forward, I can't even imagine the black eye we'll have as a result of turning down this grant. And that will not be received well the next time we need help. The county's primary role is limited to that of a landlord. The Del Mar MOU approved by the court months ago clearly spells that out. Let's unite this county on this workforce development center again, once and for all, by unanimous vote today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rutledge. Ms. Rutledge?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. This is Christy Rutledge, and I'm a resident of Aransas County for 18 years. I have read the entire grant package, and I understand that commissioners have had this opportunity as well this last week, thanks to our new county attorney. The EDA requires 9-year oversight after construction is complete and will retain ownership in the project for 20 years. Within 20 years, if the property is sold or not otherwise used for the purpose defined in the grant, the EDA will require the county to pay back $1.7 million or their share of the market value of the property. The county in Del Mar assumes in the grant application a population of 52,000 in the 18 to 64 age range. From a multi-county region will be potential students at the Workforce Development Center. The student population included in the grant application are from as far away as Calhoun County, which is nearly 60 miles outside of Aransas County.
Are they a problem?
Aransas County's population in the targeted age range is not large enough to sustain the operations of the Workforce Development Center. According to demographics presented in the grant application, Aransas County population trend is in decline and is expected to continue to decline over the next few years. However, in contradiction to the declining population trends, when I spoke to Ms. Keys last week, she confirmed to me that Del Mar student attendance projections are based on an increased population in Aransas County.
Yeah.
The county of Del Mar assumes 800 students will attend in the first year of operations, and that attendance will increase 20% each year, up to 1,800 students per year. The county of Del Mar project operation costs of $1.45 million per year, or in the first year. That's at a tuition rate of average of $1,815 per student. The Workforce Development Center will offer primarily short-term classes such as training and continuing education, which are not typically eligible for financial assistance or student loans. The Workforce Development Center emphasizes classes related to arts and crafts, pottery and painting, and entrepreneur classes for artists, which are historically offered at the Rockport Center for Arts and generate income for their members. The Workforce Development Center also emphasizes dual credit, which is currently being offered at the high school. Del Mar will not be eligible for state funding for 2 years, as Ms. Keys explained, and the typical state allotment under Del Mar's current in-district taxing is 15.8%, and this is what's stated in the grant. The projected budget for the Aransas County Workforce Center has an amount of 33% expected from the state in the 3rd year and over 40% in the 5th year. If Del Mar only receives the 15.8% it states it expects from the state in the 3rd year for our Workforce Development Center, the budget shortfalls will be $500,000 and increasing in the 4th and 5th year. And this is according to the projected budget put forth. If Del Mar determines at some point that Aransas County's Workforce Development Center is not financially sustainable, the options put forth by Ms. Keys to me are to sell the property and pay back the grant, or the county keeps the property and joins Del Mar's junior college taxing district, or the county gives the property to Del Mar and joins Del Mar's junior college taxing district. This is also confirmed by Mark Wagnon, board member of the Aransas County Partnership Economic Development Association, who will manage the property along with the Rockport Fulton Chamber of Commerce. Commissioners, you should not be gambling with taxpayer monies. Just because a grant is available for construction and acquisition of property does not mean the project is sustainable. I urge you to be sure that this project is sustainable and that we are not headed for an eventual vote to approve a taxing district. Our population is too poor and too small to absorb this. If classes are needed for the younger populations in Calhoun County and Refugio County, then those classes should be offered there. Refugio and Calhoun County students will go to junior college in Victoria or Del Mar in Corpus Christi. They will not choose a small school, 12-room school in Aransas County. I can assure you this. I have 4 children and they have all gone to college, either online or have moved away. So I think it's great for Aransas County students to be offered this opportunity, and currently 235 students are enrolled, or in 2019, in Del Mar's programs. And those that choose to go and continue their education have already made plans to do so. And I'm not sure that setting us up for a potential hospital tax or junior college taxing district outweighs the risk versus the benefit in Aransas County. It looks like another grant application based on large projected growth. Thank you so much. Vote no against item 10 and make sure it's financially sustainable.
Thank you. All right, we have also about 7 other emails that I'm not going to read because they're all positive for this item. The motion's been made and seconded.
I have an email. It's brief. It's from Kathy Kane. She says she'll start with Little Bay. She doesn't believe we should spend $30,000 to continue the option on this building. It's been empty for years with little interest. Don't throw away any more of the taxpayers' money. If it's meant to be, the building will be available if and when it's needed. Regarding the workforce grant, I'm 100% supportive of offering non-college bound students and residents options to learn a trade. I applaud the county for going out and asking for all the money you could get post Hurricane Harvey, but I question the wisdom of this one. How will we sustain this venture? What happens if we don't pull in the number of students as proposed in the proposal? What happens to the building? Will it just be empty in 3 to 4 years? What happens to the grant money? If this venture with Del Mar fails, how will it be paid back? It's wonderful we received this grant, but you have to ask if this is the gift that keeps on taking. Please vote against both items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Judge Mills, may I say?
I'll also,
Were you done?
when you finish, I'd like to add a couple of questions.
The last time this was brought up, I did vote against it, and I said that I had concerns. Those people who know me know that I have served on the Education Foundation Board here for 2 terms, and with Suzanne and several other very committed members, we brought in those grants to improve the welding program to state of the art and the culinary arts program. I am a huge supporter of education. I also, when I first moved to Corpus Christi, was active with 4UCC, and we brought in a 4-year campus to that community, even though we heard dire statements about what would happen to Texas A&M Kingsville. None of that came to pass. The concerns I had were that I did not want the resources that we had developed at the high school to be cannibalized by this program. And I spoke with Ms. Keys at length last week. I've also spoken with Ms. Hutchinson, who's on the Del Mar board. And I have been assured that that is not going to happen. That if anything, they will work to improve those. And if we eventually outgrow the resources we have there, they will do something to expand. But what we have in place will be used to the utmost. I was also concerned with some of the expenses that weren't clearly defined. And as I had it presented to me before this meeting, well, that was all very clear in the grant paperwork. I just received that grant paperwork this past weekend. I've been reading these pages all through the weekend. I couldn't do an essay test on it, but I certainly know a lot more. And after talking with Ms. Keys and reading the paperwork, I am very comfortable that Del Mar will pay the operational costs, the salaries, including mowing and signage. The county will be responsible for insuring the building and for eventual replacement of the roof and the HVA systems. Those 2 items are both new, having been recently replaced after Harvey. With that stated, I have no reservation about approving this. Thank you.
And I'd like to echo and really endorse everything Commissioner Russo has just said. I actually voted for this last August, whenever it was that it first came up, particularly because I saw so much community support for it. So even though I had some private reservations, it seemed to me that the people with the money put their money where their mouth was. My objection 2 weeks ago was that there were documents I had not been able to get. I have since been provided with copies of the grant, all related grant sort of ancillary documentation. I've spent much of the last 3 or 4 days, hours and hours on the phone with Lenora Keys, with Kim Fouts, with 4 or 5 or 6 different constituents who are worried. The primary worry is, what do we do if this thing somehow can't make budget? Are we going to get a clawback under the grant terms? My concerns on that, I mean, I can't say that's a zero risk situation, but it seems to me that we've been presented with good enough information to conclude that we're not likely to face a failure. And if we do, we'll have this valuable piece of real estate to make ourselves whole with. I can't see that there's enough risk here of a clawback to justify overriding a very strong community support for this workforce training center.
All right, with that being said, anything else?
One quick thing. One of the things, first of all, I apologize for not being here last week. I had a child that was sick and I just simply couldn't make it. The second thing is, we keep talking about dual credit, and that's awesome. That's incredible. But this is primarily for people that are out of high school that are looking to improve their educational lot in life, or their community lot in life. This is a very good thing. I taught in Aransas Pass for 5 years and was very involved in the CAPE program over there. There were several kids involved in that career and technology education that whenever they left high school, they started working at more than the principal of the school district or of the high school was making. They'd been in it for 4 years. So, but they got out and there was nothing else left them except to go to Del Mar to improve beyond that, and they've done that. This is a great thing. And with that, I'll call for the question.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank God. Item number 11, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the First Amendment to the option of the purchase of real estate contract dated August the 24th of 2020 to extend the option period by 3 months and to authorize the expenditure and additional option fee not to exceed $18,000 for the property located at 2000 Highway 35 North for the potential workforce development and entrepreneur center.
Second.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Casterline. Any discussion?
I would have-
Commissioner Bagnall has a presentation. Do you?
Good morning, Judge, ladies and gentlemen of the court. I'm here to give you a brief outline of the option extension agreement. The proposed amendment extends the time to exercise the option on what we generally call the Little Bay property from February 14th to May the 14th of 2020. The amendment also provides for the accrual of $6,000 per month during the extended option period, increasing the maximum accrued option fee to $53,000 if the option is not exercised or if it expires. The original option agreement provided for an initial option fee of $20,000 not applied to the purchase price. That is still the case in the amendment. The remaining option fees of $33,000 are applied to the purchase price upon exercise of the option or closing of the purchase. All other terms and provisions of the option agreement remain the same, unchanged, but for the extended time and the accrual of $6,000 a month for the 3 months, which again is applied to the purchase price at closing. I would also like to remind you, as Mr. Jackson did, that the sellers donated $11,500 towards the environmental and appraisal fees, further reducing the acquisition cost of the county. Private citizens raised over $400,000 to match the funds. To not approve the amendment to extend the option, in my opinion, makes no sense not to, because then you have no property at which to build a workforce training center. Any questions? Thank you.
I just want to reiterate. In other words, this $6,000 per month for the 3 months will not increase the overall original price that we negotiated. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I would just wanted to say I would have had some concern about this option if it were not clear that we're now going to move forward. But given that it gives us 3 months to close and the option price is credited to the purchase price, I haven't got a problem with it.
Call for the question.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that everybody? Okay,
So.
unanimous. Discuss, item number 12, do I have a motion?
I move to approve termination of state contact with the Texas Department of Agriculture for the county's Texas Community Development Block Grant, TXCDBG number 7218085, Dowdy Mathis Colonia Sewer Improvement Grant, including repayment of $52,000 in expenses, grant funds, and deobligation of
Motion made.
remaining.
I second it.
And second, Commissioner. So,
I have received some more information about the background for this over the weekend, and I would appreciate it if people who know more about it than I do would help us out with completing the record. Maybe Commissioner Casterly?
Yeah, this grant was started before Harvey. The main condition of the grant, it's in an area where you have a population of low to moderate income people who make it eligible for the grant. During Harvey and after Harvey, a large number of those people moved from the area. In the time since the grant was started, we've actually moved it from one location we had some slight problems like this one time in the past, and we were always able to move from one street to the other and pick up the people that would actually sign up to hook up. What the problem that created this is we have the people in the area, but because of the economic losses from Harvey, they don't want to put the money up to pay the minimum fee to the city for sewer, and they're just electing to stay with their sewer systems, their septic systems that they have. So I think the grant people have tried all of the alternatives that there are in this period of time, and this is kind of the end result because the deadline is shortly upon us. My understanding that the people who actually were willing to sign up are going to be able to absorbed into one of the other grants that we have in process. So
that's good.
I think we might have somebody on from GrantWorks. I see her.
Hi, yeah, hi, Judge and Commissioners. I am here. My name is Rachel Thomas. I'm the project manager from GrantWorks. Commissioner Casterline summed it up pretty well, but that has been the main issue. This application for this grant was submitted in fall of 2017, around the time Hurricane Harvey hit. At the time, when we surveyed then, there were enough eligible residents that were interested in the first time sewer connections. But once TDA awarded this grant in February 2019, and we went back and resurveyed the project area, there were just so many vacancies and residents that also just weren't interested in connecting. But the Commissioner is right. We are hoping for the 9 households that did show interest in connecting to the sewer line for this project. We are going to amend them into another TDA CDBG grant.
And Ms. Thomas, with regard to the 53,000 in administrative fees that we may have to reimburse, is there any chance of those being shifted over to another grant as well, or are we really going to have to write a check for that?
Unfortunately, I did reach out to TDA and I had multiple conversations with them, and they are going to require that that be repaid.
Okay. Is this going to hurt us on future grants, or is it actually going to help us in the fact that we followed up?
For the sorry, go ahead.
No, in the fact that we amended the project in such a way that we were no longer eligible because of actual conditions rather than just trying to go ahead and go through and get it without it. Looks to me like it strengthened a future application.
In terms of applying for grants with the Texas Department of Agriculture or community development block grants with TDA in the future, there will be a scoring penalty. I believe that will impact Aransas County's scores for the next 5 years. But there are 2 other existing Texas CDBG grants that we are in good condition or better condition, and we are hoping to get those moving soon.
Okay.
I'd like to add this will be the first time that we've ever, over the last 14, 15 years, we've received millions of dollars worth of these type of grants, and this will actually be the first money. In the past, we've done a few in kind, but not really many. This will actually be the first time. I think going forward, we probably need to look closer at trying to make sure the people that make us eligible are willing to sign up before we get as far in to the grant. Like I say, we've never really had that problem. We had a few inklings of it a few years ago, and a little bit more. So, hopefully we can solve that back.
Where do we propose to get the 53,000? Does it just need to come from the reserve fund, or are there funds set aside for these Colonias grants that we could take it from?
Yeah, it's just unanticipated.
Reserves.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that in future grants, they'll take into account that this was not a failure on Aransas County's part, but was a result of a major catastrophe. And I appreciate GrantWorks for all the work that y'all have done for us over the years. And let's just make sure that we, on anything else that we do, as Commissioner Cashline said, you can't do anything about national disasters, but we can make sure that we're planning to the best.
Yes.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, I think. Item number 13, discuss approve. Well, I'll make the motion to approve accepting and awarding mosquito control bids. Second, Commissioner Castleline. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any? You want to discuss anything since it's already been approved?
I'm gonna make her do something. Yeah, really.
I'm gonna read them into the record.
Good.
You need to step up. You
Better?
need to get a step up for you.
Versaris as a biomist compatible. They are the winner for that one. We have mineral oil for the same company and an Alticid extended briquette. For Adapco, we have a malathion. Target, we have the wet soluble powder. Clark Mosquito, we have Mosquito Mist 1, the BTI briquettes, and the 4-star larvicide extended briquettes.
Valerie, when do you usually start mosquito spraying? Is it way like into May or
No,
sooner?
it just,
Valerie, how many of the briquettes do you have on
in stock.
the list, or how many you normally buy? And do people just have to come to your office to get them, or
Yes, sir.
unless they get one of us? I know a lot of times put them in my truck.
Yeah, I do too. Valerie, just for people that are on Zoom and whatever, but can you tell us when you can spray and when you cannot spray?
So spraying is very weather dependent with wind conditions and humidity and temperature. So it just depends. It has to be above about 7 degrees and low wind
Okay, and have that time of day.
overnight.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
14, approve. I make a motion to approve the January 2021 indigent healthcare report. Second, Commissioner Castleline.
The total expenditures for the month of January is, can't see, $50,712.47. Normally it's around $30,000. We did have one patient, indigent client in the hospital. And also, as I was discussing with the county judge, we've got a larger laboratory are going to be having the test done effective with bills starting in January. They will bill the state health department now instead of us, so that so my question is, the total that you show for the current state fiscal year is 181,000.
Yes, ma'am.
061. Is that for 5 months, September, October, November, December, January?
We're in the 5th month.
Okay.
And that puts it at 1.7% of our gross revenue tax levy. This time last year, we were at 2.12%. So we're actually less than we were last year.
Good, thank you.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 15, do I have a motion?
I move to, where is it written here? Hold on. I move to approve the changes and updates to the county treasurer's job descriptions for all positions and change pay groups as follows. Chief Deputy Treasurer from 16.5 to 17.3, no new monies. Deputy Treasurer Payroll Clerk from 13.9 to 15.5, no new monies. Deputy Treasurer Assistant from 12.6 to 14.2, no new monies. Deputy Treasurer Hotel Occupancy Clerk from 12.1 to 14.1. That's $3,320 in additional wages for the 2022 budget. Deputy Treasurer Indigent Healthcare Service Clerk, one position from 10.9 to 13.3, no new monies, and one position from 10.7 to 13.1, no new monies.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Castleline.
I have a question. Might have a couple. So the additional $3,320 in the 2022 budget, does that come from hotel motel funds?
Actually, one half of it is paid by the hotel motel.
And then half the general fund?
Right.
But so you're saying it won't come out of this year's budget? We'll have to
This
consider
year's
it
budget. I
in
do
next
have,
year.
I have an attrition because I have several pay periods that two positions actually have not been paid in. And so for this year's, and I discussed with the auditors, I'm okay, and money wise. So I guess the decision would be if we want to increase the position for 2022.
And we'll have to figure that out on this year's budget process.
And
for
so
next year.
my reasoning in bringing, I mean, the group and the step system that we have to have, the groups are supposed to have meaning. And so there are several departments that have deputies. And I think that a chief deputy, which is under the elected official, should be of equal groups across the board, especially like in the county clerk and district clerk and the treasurer's office, which are all similar. And so that being said, 17 would bring it back to the group that other chief deputies are in. And then my other reasoning for the job descriptions is I had a very constructive conversation with the county attorney's office, and my job descriptions were very similar across the board, even though a lot of my deputies do the same things or share or back up each other. I'm making them more specific, the payroll more specific, the chief deputy more specific to the banking, that sort of cleaning up.
That's, they're both similar but different skill set.
Right.
Okay. All right.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 16. Have a motion.
I move to, this is discussed.
Number 16, the pay group.
Okay. Yeah, I move to approve pay group change for JP2 pretrial supervision officer and court clerk from a group 11 to a group 12 to bring the position more in line with probationary salaries in the general market.
Motion made. Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Castleline.
So what's the dollar hit here?
There's not going to be no new money. I have it in my budget for 2021. For 2022, it's less than $1,000, which I'll probably still somewhere find it in my budget to take care of. So there's no new monies. It's just I'm trying to get it in line to what probation officers are making, which I think I'm still a little low, but I'm going to try to work within my budget to see what I can do to hire.
Any other discussion?
I have a concern. I remember last summer when the court was looking at the budget and talking about salaries, and the sheriff came forward and expressed how low the salaries in his department were versus the general market. I did make calls, even though I wasn't actively on the court at the time, to find out what were other people in similar positions getting paid, and found out that the Rockport Police Department starts their employees at about $6,000 more than our deputies, and the police compared to our jailers get about $7,800 more. Now those figures were late last year figures. They may have changed, but I have a concern more with what we're doing as far as our sheriff's department salaries are concerned in the general market, because that has been a problem for several years.
That's a problem everywhere. That's just not theirs. That's also a problem for even my clerk. He whether or not another study needs to be done here.
We did make an adjustment in January, didn't we? Nope, for the sheriff's department.
We're working with the sheriff on right now.
Oh, okay.
That's not on the agenda.
Anyway. All right, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
One against.
Is that an aye against?
I am against.
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Item 17. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the recommended replacement appointments for the Personnel Policy Committee as followed: Amanda Oscar, County Attorney; Jackie Cockerham, County Auditor; Jennifer Osteen, Assistant County Attorney.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Alma?
So several years back, when I did have a turn to the Treasurer's Department, we had a committee of about 12 or so, maybe 13, 14 people. I think that the span of what we're picking right now is good, except for I would like to request that the payroll clerk in my office be involved in the personnel policy, and actually maybe some more employees out of different departments. I know that most of the issues that come up is in the sheriff's office or at Road and Bridge. They have different conditions, so it's nice that they're on the committee to give their input. But as far as the payroll clerk, she deals with the results of the personnel policy all the time. So I think I would like to ask that she be included.
Okay, thank you.
I would amend my motion to include that person.
I would second that amendment.
Motion made and seconded and amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Unanimous. Item 18, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the creation of a temporary jailer position to allow jailers to continue their education, or excuse me, their employment with Aransas County while attending the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Peace Officer certification classes. This position, when filled, would be an on-call status utilized during periods when the jail is short-staffed, saving some of the overtime budget. Sheriff Mills.
Say it's a
motion made. Do I have a second? Second. Yes, sir.
It was just a request by a gentleman that just recently enrolled at Del Mar's Law Enforcement Academy. Kind of came as a different one. Nobody in the past usually step out and go do it, but he's expressed a willingness and a desire to stay on and fill in when he can. They don't attend class. My understanding is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So his availability would be strictly evenings and weekends when he would be available and when we would need him. Currently in the jail right now, we have 6 vacancies. That doesn't count people that go to the hospital with inmates for pregnancies. It doesn't count COVID isolation issues that we've dealt with. We're taking a beating with the vacancies as well as just the current climate of things that are going on. So his offer to do this would help us in curtailing some overtime. I don't know how much we would actually utilize the position, but I just need the approval for it.
Sheriff, I just had a question. I think our human resources people answered it, but are we paying for the classes?
No, sir.
Is that something that we might want to offer to do? He's an employer. He or she's an employee, right?
He's the only one that has asked to stay on in a temporary position. The rest make a commitment to the class and usually leave. We have hired people back after they completed the training. I stopped that practice when I took office because there's not a contractual agreement that I can draw up requiring them to come back. That cost us about $3,500, which is 1/3 of my educational expense for all my staff. And if I sink that into one person and they decide to go to work for the city of Rockport,
okay,
or anybody else, so we stop that, and it's They do get a cut in their tuition because we are a member of the COG, so they will save about $900, I think, on the tuition. We sign off that they are an employer, and that we would sponsor it, but we don't pay any expenses.
Okay.
So Sheriff Mills, just to clarify, this is not a hit to the budget. You actually think you'll save money on this, so we're not
I
approving an
believe we
expenditure.
should, yes, ma'am. Because rather than seeking and continuing to call out and trying to find somebody and bring them in on an overtime basis, which just that pool of people, we've really tried that pool pretty hard in the last year, just because of the COVID issue, as well as people leaving. We've had that. You wear out the same people. So anybody that's volunteering to come in, he does have a jailer still licensed as a jailer in the state of Texas, and I'll carry that condition.
I have a question,
Yes,
or maybe two. So this position would be filled by a person who has the certification.
Correct.
They just are not available on a full-time basis
That's correct.
to be plugged into the schedule, but they could be called as needed. And if it worked around their school schedule, they'd be able to work.
That's the intent. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. And the other question is, there used to be something in the personnel handbook about, I don't remember if it was a $500 stipend, but some sort of a stipend. And I think it was run out of the auditor's office that would help a person who was going to school.
That's correct. Employees in the county, I do believe, can qualify for a $500 semester grant, stipend, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how this will apply to somebody that's not a full-time employee. That would be a policy-related deal, and I don't know that he's applied or didn't. But I have had deputies in the past apply and use the $500. Just
Okay, so you have approved that. When you said that you don't pay it out of your budget, I was concerned that you weren't honoring any of those requests.
Oh, no. If
Okay.
they've applied, we have. I've had deputies and investigators continue their education through Del Mar and other colleges and applied for the tuition assistance, $500 semester. I do not know in any of the past applications whether anybody that went to attend applied for that or not for the academy license.
Well, this particular position, it is on the payroll when he's working, right? I mean,
He was
not
up
a
until
full-time-
2 weeks ago. Yes,
Yeah, not a full-time employee, but.
correct.
And so the law enforcement peace officer certification is above what he needs to be able to be a jailer, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, so he's advancing. Does he have any anticipation that he's going to come on it as a sheriff's deputy here?
I would hope, and that offer has always stood with officers leaving the detention center. If I don't have a vacancy, we bring them back on in the detention center in past practice. And as vacancies came up, then we would bring them to patrol side.
So
They're plug and play, ready to go.
In this particular instance, you have a permanent part-time employee, not full-time, but he's permanent. If he leaves, somebody else is going to probably take that position. It's going to be offered to someone.
Correct.
Okay. So it would look to me like we would at least consider as part of this, maybe the $500 stipend, if he's doing something that can further his ability to.
I'm going to defer. I
Yeah.
don't know
Well,
what the
I'm
guidelines.
just saying conceptually, would that be something that we ought to do? Mhm.
The reason it's never been done in the past is because when employees go to equal portion, they leave.
Right. I understand that, but it brings back to my basic question that you and I visited about earlier, is what constitutes a temporary employee? If he's employed, if he's on the rolls to work less than full-time, okay, then he's an employee. He is not a full-time employee. Okay, and I think that begs us back on our personnel thing to look at what we're using the term temporary for. Either he's an employee or he's non-employed. He may not be a full-term, he or she may not be a full-term employee, but they're employed nonetheless. Okay, and so, yeah. Okay. That's that. Thank you.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Make a motion to approve the budget amendments due to unforeseen emergency. Due to, you second it? Second, Commissioner Gasteline. Any discussion?
I just need to know what it is. What's the change and what's the unforeseen emergency?
The change in this is based on, you want, okay.
I'm sorry. So legally speaking, in the past, there should have always been an asset forfeiture budget that was brought to the Commissioners Court. That being said, those funds are my discretionary funds or the county attorney's discretionary funds, which means you don't get to use those funds as the Commissioners Court, and you don't really get to dictate how they're used, but it is brought to you so that everyone in the county is aware the intention behind those funds. And moving forward, our office would only be able to use those funds as is laid out in the budget. As for the PTD fund, there used to be a pretrial diversion fund. It's been empty for a few years. So we are using those same line items, and we're going to be restarting our pretrial diversion program. Those funds go directly to the probation office to run the program.
Okay.
Well, if this amendment is for a specific item, I don't have any opposition to it, but does it need to be listed on our agenda dealing with that specific item rather than just a general term budget amendment? What would you recommend?
Were you provided with both of the budgets?
Not at this particular amendment. Not what I have. I
don't
have a copy of the whatever you called it, that fund.
It should have been in your packet. There should be one for each of the
There is
budgets
something in the packet here.
It is. That packet is now published on the county's website. Thank you to Colin and IT for helping us with
my
that.
basic question is not about the budget, but we're trying to tighten up our agenda so it really deals with what we're talking about. I'm just asking, is that something that we need to come back and deal with that specific item? I mean, we do it however you want to do it.
Should it be on the agenda more specific?
Yeah, more specifically on the
Right.
agenda.
This is legally sufficient. I would say in the future, particularly if we're talking about budget amendments where they're not discretionary funds, we might want to be more specific.
Okay, but there's nothing in here that says anything about discretionary funds being out of this, but whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to argue. I agree with the concept of getting the agenda items as tight as we can.
Well, we now publish the agenda packet, so the public has access to the more detailed chart that lays out the names of each of the accounts and the exact changes.
Yeah, I
Is
don't have
that
a problem with that, but
okay?
it doesn't say anything about the name of the account in this.
Yes, and on the motion, we need to be very specific about what we're putting in, because right now, as Commissioner Cheney is saying, if I'm understanding correctly, we're just talking about, we might need to amend, or we need to approve amendments, but it's not clarifying
You could read
what
from
type
the,
of thing we're
You can read from that.
Well, are there other
No, amended.
unbudgeted legally required accounts? I mean, there's
Not that
a
I'm aware of.
description after the budget amendment deal
I
that
think.
gives some description of the account.
Can we just, couldn't Ms. Oster read into the record some information from the attached fund summary, and that'll clear up the record of exactly what the motion is covering?
I think that you can also read it in when you're requesting that it be approved, but I can certainly do it first.
I think you could, if I try to read it in, I won't make sense. If you read it in, I'm sure it will make sense.
You mind if I read yours?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Or
Excuse me, Amanda, the one thing we do have to show is that it is an emergency that is required by our auditors. It can't be just an amendment. It has to be due to an emergency. This being unfunded.
Well, as to an emergency, it should have been included in last year's budget.
Right.
And it should have been included in every year's budget for several years before that. Because according to the Attorney General's office, we are not able to use those asset forfeiture funds unless there is a budget in place.
Exactly.
I'm gonna make a motion to table this until we can get the specific names. I don't mean to be a problem by any means whatsoever.
Well, can't we get the specific names today? I think Amanda's prepared.
That's not what we're dealing with. What we're dealing with is what it says right here.
not expanding on it. But whatever, it's whatever y'all want to do. I'll second whatever motion they make.
Refer to the legal counsel here and tell us what to do.
Yeah, tell us what to do.
I don't know if this microphone is on.
Should have a green light if it is. On the floor, on the, oh, I don't know.
That
One's
one doesn't-
different.
That one doesn't have.
But even if you can't hear me through the.
Colin says
It's on.
Okay, good. So having reviewed the agenda language, I believe that it's legally sufficient, the way it's worded. Commissioner Cheney's point of having agenda items be more detailed in the future is well taken. And while I think that's something we will strive to do, I think that this is legally sufficient for moving forward today if the Commissioners Court chooses to do so.
I would call the question.
Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Approve budget line item transfers. Make the motion. Have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Cheney. And the answer is no, right?
No, sir, we do have
Oh.
budget line item transfers. They should be in your packet with
Oh,
all
yeah,
of your
they're
stuff.
pretty
substantial.
These are the year end to clean up our year end of 2020 budget, and there's very few of them, but it would actually, what it does is cleans up the funds to where they balance at the end of the year.
Right.
And Jackie, Parks, is that Aransas Pathways or is that something else?
No, it is our parks. We have Tiger Field, we have the
Lewis-
other park,
Lewisfield.
Lewis
Or
Park.
Lewis Park.
There are several areas that we have. I think
Okay.
there's two or three.
Murph Park. Howard Murph Park.
sorry.
Navigation. Does that have this?
No, it's ours, but they maintain it.
So we have two at least. We have Tiger Field that we're responsible for as
And
well
Lewis
as
Park.
Lewis.
Something in Peninsula Oaks.
That's
Is it-
Lewis
That's
Park.
Lewis Park. All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approve accounts payable, payroll, and payroll liabilities. I make the motion.
I second it.
Second, Commissioner Russo. Any discussion?
I would like to bring two invoices in that were not included on the list. Our, the list that you received does include our INS payments for February that totaled approximately $1.9 million. So when you look at that, 1.9 of it is debt service payments. But we have a PGAL invoice that was brought to us on Friday for $57,902.40, and one from Grant Works that's $95,325.80. And it's very possible that we receive the funds from GLO prior to our next meeting, and they have to be out within 3 days. So I needed to bring those to y'all's attention.
All right.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
I'll make that motion with the amendment. And the second was Commissioner Cheney.
And Jackie, I just have a question. I didn't quite understand. Do we have those grant proceeds in, or you're getting our approval in anticipation they're coming and then we'll pay it out?
Exactly, yes, ma'am.
And it has to be paid
It's
within 3
possible
days.
they've been turning things around very quickly.
Okay.
And so we're afraid that it would be too late if we waited for the 2 weeks. till
Thank
the
you.
meeting.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Do I have a? Now's the time for elected officials or department heads to bring up things that they need to talk about. If not, I do have something. As you noticed at the beginning of the meeting, I had roll call. Starting the next meeting, we'll have roll call for each vote. That was a good suggestion from the legal, and we're gonna have more as I get more suggestions.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Good.
Do I have a motion?
I would like to bring something, on Thursday of this past week, or I'm sorry, Wednesday this past week. I got a call from a friend of mine that lives in Mason. And she was in tears. They had just lost.
People at home won't be able to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. They had just lost their courthouse to arson. The courthouse was built in 1908, and they lost it, lost everything. It was arson. They've caught the arsonist and everything, but I promised her that I would bring it to our court so that the Commissioners Court of Aransas County could perhaps extend to the Commissioners Court of Mason County our sincere sympathy and best wishes.
You didn't say anything about telling them how to build a new one.
No, I hadn't got there.
I thought maybe he's gonna make a donation.
Yeah. All right, thank you. And yes, I got that same notification, and yeah, hearts go out to them. It's a
I
beautiful
move to
building.
adjourn.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.